Hello and welcome back to Python Fundamentals. In this video, we'll deal with exceptions in Python. You all know what are exceptions. Exceptions occur during execution of the program, which disturbs the normal flow of the program. So there are several exceptions in Python. We'll go through them one by one. So let us see what is the first exception. Suppose if I divide with 0, so an exception has rise. This is called division by 0. So this is one of the exceptions. This is a general exception. We all know that if we divide with the 0, an error occurs. The next is we have, suppose we try to add 1 plus 7 and then enter. Then see here, we miss the parenthesis, the other parenthesis, right? So it raises an error called syntax error. So this is another type of exception. Now, we can also just take a list of numbers and try to access suppose I'll try to access 4th element. This is called indexing. We all know that. And because there are only 3 elements, so this is 0th position, 1st position, 2nd position, and we are trying to access the 4th position element, which is not in the list. Then it raises an error that is called index error. And also we can I'll explain one more exception. Suppose if we take float of input, use input. So I am taking x value as a floating point value. Then you can print x, then shift enter. So it will prompt for the value. First I'll give the floating point number. Then it prints, okay. Then again I'll execute and try to give a character instead of floating point. Then it will raise an error called value error. So these are the some of the exceptions. You have a long list of exceptions in Python. But these are the few examples of exceptions that occurs during the execution of the program. This is a common exception, that is 0 division error, syntax error, index error, value error, we have name error, so and so on. So how to handle these exceptions? So these exceptions we can handle by using try and except clause. So we can use try and except clause for handling the exceptions. Try. So any code, if we think that raises an exception, we write in try clause. Okay. And in the except clause, the statements that handle the exceptions will be written inside the except clause. That is the difference between try and except. So these are the two statements we have to use while handling the exceptions. So let us try to write a program to handle 0 division error. So for that, I'll just type try colon. Now just write the x is equal to integer of input. So that is the integer value we are giving to the x. Y is equal to, again, int of input. Then I'll just print. You can use the print statement, print X by Y. Okay. So when we use input statement, then obviously we'll ask the user input. So we can give the user input. Then I'll use the except clause, except. So because for the division, we know that there is an exception which rises if we divide with 0. So 0 division error. So except this error. So once this error occurs, just print denominator is 0. Denominator is 0. Okay, whatever you want to write, you can write. So let us try to execute this program. Now it is asking for the first value, that is x, 3, enter. Then it will ask for the y value, 4, enter. So because 3 by 4 is nothing but 0.75, it has printed. Now let us try to execute the same program again. And then first give x value as 2. Now give y value as 0. Now, so because it rises an error, so it has printed denominator is 0. If we don't use this exception class, we'll just write this program without the except clause. So I'll just remove this except clause. Then let us check what happens if we divide with the 0. So there is the print statement is very wrong in the line 4. So we'll try to print. So this is how to handle the exceptions. We can write except input, you can write enter, then it will be easy for you to enter the x value. Okay. Here also we'll write input, enter, enter value y. You can write. So let us execute once again. So we'll know what is the value which we are giving. X value is 2, y value is 2. So the result is 1. Again execute, shift enter. X value is 2, y value is 0. Enter. So it has printed that there is error in the denominator. So this is how we can use try and except clause to handle the exceptions. So in the try block, so whatever program, if you think it rises an exceptions, that program has to be written in the try clause. And the except clause, we have to write the statements that handle the exceptions. So because we know that it is rising a 0 division error, it rises a 0 division error, we can print whatever we want, that denominator is 0 or error 0 division error, whatever you want to print, you can print in the statement. So that is called try and except clause. We'll take another example. We'll take one more program and then consider another exception, right? One more example. So here I'll just define a function. Define def is a keyword for defining the function. So you click enter. Yeah. So indentation is very, very important. Then add is a name I'm giving to my function x comma y, which adds x plus y. So return, which returns x plus y value. So this is the program. Now I'll give print. So I have to call the function, right? So add, I'll give 2 comma, suppose I'll give 2, and then I'll just write an exception, except type error. So if at all we give any value which cannot be added, then it rises an error. Print invalid data. So let us check this. Invalid data. So add this. Yeah, because we are giving x value as 2, y value as 2. So it has returned x plus y, 2 plus 2, 4. Now let us replace 2 with a and then check the answer. We'll give it as a string. We'll try to give it as a string such that it will rise a type error and prints invalid data, because you cannot add 2 plus a. So that is invalid, that is type error. So hence, because the type error rise from this program, so it has printed it as invalid data. So this is how we can use try and except clause for handling exceptions. We can also write multiple except statements to handle different types of exceptions. So in the same program, we can write different exceptions. So using multiple except clause, so that you can write the n number of exceptions that rise from the program. Multiple except clause, right? So let us try to write. So again, try. So in the try, I just want to only input the values, int or integer values. Input. We'll write a value, otherwise we get confused. Next, b is equal to int of input. We'll write b value. Right? Now, we'll raise 2 exceptions. One is except 0 division error. So if 0 division error occurs, then we can print 0 division error in the denominator. We'll write error in denominator. Right? So I'll print a by b. Okay, right? And then also we'll write another error that is called value error. If there is any value error in the taking the value of a or b, then it will raise a value error. Next, we can write values are not supported. So so here we are handling with 2 exceptions. So let us try to execute. So first we'll give the values, integer values, and just try to execute the program. So 2 and 3 are integers. So hence we got the result as 2 by 3 as 0.66. Now we'll go with the first exceptions, the division by 0. So if you give 2 and the denominator as 0, then it will take as you have to write 0 division error. So spelling is wrong. Okay. Now again, try to execute. So give 2 and then 0. So error in the denominator. So the first exception we have raised, right? That is except. And we ask if there is a zero division error, print there is error in the denominator. So that is completed. Then we'll go for the value error. So 2, and here I'll go for A and then try to print C. Values are not printed because the value we have given is A. So 2 divided by, because we are initialized with integer A and B, and hence A cannot be supported. So value error. So this is how you can use multiple exceptions, write multiple exceptions by using multiple except clause, right? So that is the second thing you have to remember in exceptions. Third thing is use of else clause. What is else clause? Else is nothing but we can use else after except, and the code that we write in else block will be executed if code in try block does not raise an error. So if you use an else clause after except, and if the try block does not erase any error, then else statement will be executed. Let us also check that using else clause, right? So let us try to write a program by using try, except, and else. Okay. So let us try to write. So I'll take a list of elements 2, 4, and 5. So for I in list, I just want to write x is equal to float 1 by I. That means division 1 by I. So I have to divide 1 by 2, 1 by 4, and 1 by 5. Except, now we have to use try. It will execute only for the try. So we'll write the whatever we want to execute, right? Except. So if there is any error, print error. If it rises an error, just print error. Else we have to print the value of all the values of x, right? So print x. We can print x, right? So this is the statement which should be executed. If it doesn't rise any error, then else statement will be executed. That is, in the else clause, we have a statement to print the value of x. If it rises error, then it will print the message as error. So let us try to execute this. Oh, indentation properly is not indented. Yeah. So here, see here. So because this x, this statement, it did not arise any exception, any error, and hence it has else statement. What is the statement that is in the else block? That is print statement, that is print of x. So all the values of x are printed. So that is the use of else clause. And then we have another clause. We can use another keyword, we can say finally. We can use finally. So Python provides a keyword called finally, and this includes the code that must execute whether the try block rises the exception or not. Even if it rises or if it does not rise, the statements must be executed which are under finally keyword, that is called finally. So let us again try to take this program. The same program I think we can take. We can take this same program. And use finally keyword. So here I can use finally. This is a keyword for, and then we'll try to print so it must be printed, right? So that will print here. Yeah. So this is the try. So let us try to execute. So 2 and 3, because it is correct, it has been printed, right? Now let us try to execute again and give 2 and 0. So finally, print A by B, there is a division by 0 error. So it has executed this, and then it has printed. So even though there is a rise, an exception has been raised, it has gone to the statement and printed that there is error in the denominator. So that is the finally clause. So that is called finally clause. So that is how to use finally keyword. So and then, or you can also write, if there is an error, we can write another program. We'll take the same thing and try to write another program. Instead of using the print, we can say if there is an error, we can ask to pass. That means it will not print anything, it just ignores. So let us try to see the pass keyword. So try to execute it. So 2, 3, 6. Again, try to execute. Shift enter. So 3 and then 0. See, did not rise, even though there is an exception, we just asked to pass. So hence the exception, the error is not indicated. So while we're writing a program, and whenever the program rises, we don't know whether the program rises an exception or not, then we can use what type of exception that it rises, then we can go for the pass statement. So these this is how we can handle exceptions in Python. So try and except are the two clauses which can be used to handle the exceptions. Try is used. So any code, if you think it rises an exceptions, they should be written in the try clause. And the statements that handle the exceptions ought to be written in the except clause. And then the code in the else block will be executed if the try block does not rise any error, and the code that is in finally block will be executed whether try block rises an exception or not. So that is the difference between using of else clause and finally keyword in exceptions, in handling the exceptions. I hope you all understood these were three words, that is how to rise the and handle the exceptions, try and except, how to handle multiple exceptions, and use of else clause and use of finally keyword in handling the exceptions. Thank you.